buttery and soft and cheesy bread rolls. You know how much I absolutely love my bread. You can never have enough bread recipes, especially during the holidays, and these are super simple to make, so fluffy and so flavorful. In this video, I'll also touch on making bread by hand, and I'll also show you how to make these unique crescent roll shapes, which are great if you want something special for the holidays. Today's video is sponsored by Skillshare, which is an online learning community with thousands of classes covering dozens of creative and entrepreneurial skills. Premium membership gives you unlimited access. You can join the classes and the communities that are just right for you. I've been following 2 classes, both on sourdough bread making, which is super trendy at the moment, and I love looking at other people's techniques when making bread because I feel there's always something to learn when making bread. Everybody has their own technique. Because Skillshare is sponsoring this video, if you click the link in the description box below, you'll get 2 months free trial. And now onto making this buttery, delicious crescent roll. So I'm choosing to make the dough by hand today. You can use a stand mixer, of course. However, in this video, I really wanted to talk about making dough by hand because it's one of the #1 questions I always get. Lots of people have a hard time making and kneading dough by hand. So I will touch on that as we go along. In my measuring cup, I have some warm milk, and to it, I'm going to add the melted butter and yeast. Give that a good mix, and if you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe and click that notification bell. I post new videos every week. If you're using a stand mixer, mix this on high for around 2 minutes. If you're making the dough by hand, you're going to start mixing the dough in the bowl with a spatula, and eventually, when it starts to come together, you're going to transfer it onto your board. Now, kneading dough by hand is not something that takes 2 minutes, okay? It takes time, it takes patience, and it takes strength. You'll need to work your dough until it's stretchy, completely smooth, and supple. If you don't have a lot of strength in your arms like I do, and you need a little break from kneading, take the dough and bang it as hard as you can against your board. This is a 60% hydration dough. It should be quite easy to work with because it's not as wet as other doughs. However, if you're having a hard time and it does stick to your hands, just oil your hands. That's what I do. Also, if you feel the dough is a bit dry, do not be afraid to add an extra 1 or 2 tablespoons of milk or water. Different flours absorb liquids differently. A good rule to always remember when making dough is that it's always better to have a tacky dough rather than a dry one. You're going to work this, as I said, until it's stretchy and smooth. This will take anywhere between 10 to 15 minutes depending on your strength. Form a ball. The dough should be tacky but not stick to your hands, and you're going to put this in the same bowl that we used before. Oil it well so the dough doesn't stick, and you're going to cover this with some plastic wrap or a damp kitchen towel, and this needs to double in size. This will take anywhere between 1 to 2 hours. Okay, so fast forward an hour and a half later, your dough should have risen beautifully. You're going to transfer it onto a lightly floured board and cut the dough into 10 or 12 even pieces. I do like to do 1 piece at a time, and as you're shaping your crescents, do cover the dough so it remains tacky. Okay, so this is how you form those beautiful, unique crescent shapes. Take a piece of dough, pinch the bottom, and flatten it out with the palm of your hand. Now you're going to stretch this out pretty thinly using your rolling pin. Make sure your board isn't floured at this point so it's easier to roll out the crescent. Take a sharp knife or a pizza cutter. I couldn't find either, so I'm using this old knife, and you're going to cut lots of openings along your dough, leaving, the top part intact. This is pretty self-explanatory. This does not have to be precise or perfect. They're going to look beautiful. Now, if you want to make, simple, delicious butter rolls, skip this step. However, I wanted to add a little surprise in the center of each roll. I'm using mozzarella, the dry pizza kind, and I did shred it myself. You can use any cheese you prefer, or, leave these plain as I said. You're going to roll these back up towards you. to form that crescent roll. I absolutely love this shape. You're going to place the rolls onto a baking sheet lined with parchment paper, leaving some space between each roll because these will rise in the oven. If you want, you can do the opposite. So first add the cheese and then cut the openings. Don't be afraid to stretch the dough, guys. It's so easy to work with. Make sure you also pinch the bottoms, especially if you're filling these with cheese. You're going to let these rise again for another half an hour. If you want to egg wash the crescents before baking them, you certainly can. I personally, however, do not like to do that for these crescents. Bake these in a preheated oven at 180 degrees Celsius or 350 Fahrenheit for around 18 to 20 minutes. These will be a beautiful light golden brown. They're gorgeous. Some cheese did ooze out. It's completely fine and delicious. While these are still hot, you're going to brush these with some melted butter. Do not skip this step. It is the holidays, guys. We can indulge. The rolls will absorb the butter and become these buttery, heavenly, delicious crescent rolls. Listen, whether you make these plain or you decide to stuff these will be one of the best dinner rolls you'll ever have. They're soft and fluffy and so buttery. They're perfect to accompany any meal. Or if you're anything like me, bake these off and have these as your actual dinner.